Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of High Energy Girl. And today's awesome guest is Steve Wiltshire, who has made fitness, health, and mindset a priority for 3 decades. Shortly after winning the Mr. Oregon bodybuilding competition, Steve developed an autoimmune disease that originated from a serious gut complication that almost ruined his health. From radical meal plans and harsh chemicals and supplements, compromised his gut health. And 18 months after being diagnosed, Steve healed himself by following the philosophy and wellness practices taught by the Hypocrites Institute in Southern Florida, which, by the way, I really want to go there. And through Steve's journey, he has developed a process that has led him to assisting thousands of people how to reclaim their health and power. Steve is a keynote speaker, author, and mindset coach, and the founder of Body Temple Health and Wellness. Steve and I had a great chat, and we went down so many rabbit hole conversations. It was awesome. We talked about how he healed himself and also like what caused the autoimmune disease. And we talked about energy and so many good things. So I can't wait for you to listen. All right, let's go and say hello to Steve. Hey everyone, welcome to High Energy Girl, a podcast helping women to age stronger because it is never too late to get fit, be strong, and feel sexy. I'm your host, Tracy Gluhite, health coach and personal trainer and founder of HighEnergyGirl.com. Each week, we will either have a guest interview, which will provide you encouragement or an actionable tip to help you age stronger, or I will do a solo episode. Please also join our awesome Facebook group called High Energy Girls, and I'm looking forward to see you on the inside of that group and hope you enjoy today's show. Create Whole Body Wellness, a powerful new advancement in energy medicine. Increase your energy, empower your life. I am super excited to announce that I am now a bioenergetics practitioner. And many people are like, well, what is bioenergetics? So imagine that our body is controlled by our energy field, and these fields get distortions and blockages, which create physical and emotional symptoms. So how do we get energy blockages? From stress, toxins, EMFs, emotional traumas, physical scars, and physical traumas. All you need to do is decode the human body field to get to the root cause and restore your energy for life. For more information, head on over to the blog at highenergygirl.com/bioenergetics with an X. That's BIOENERGETIX, and heal your energy for life. Hey, Steve, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
So fun to be here. I wish they could have heard our conversation right before this. It was absolutely magical.
I might weave it in. I have a really good assistant. I thought so too.
I love your brand.
Thank you.
I did write a review, and I loved the, I think it was episode 204, what was on. I think I sent that in the email to you. Yeah. Wow. On Candida, it's such a mess when people get it. Oh, I love your affirmations in the back. I don't even see mine, but man, I'm all about that, because it's all about like a big part of my conversation. People train your brain where you're headed, what you want. Law of attraction.
Yeah, law of attraction. I mean, I came up with my brand just because I have a lot of energy. I'm an energetic person, kind of like you. But then it evolved, and now I literally am a Reiki master, and I do Qigong, and
no way.
I mean, who would have known, right? I went from energy to energy. Crazy stuff. I mean, I've had weird things happen, like me and birds. Like birds will come up to me and let me pet them.
Well, it's interesting just in hearing that. I'm an intuitive with a logical mind, but in that, if you think about generalizing your first stage of, or I'll say a stage of growth, and what is energy. Like when people show up with enthusiasm, I'll say even a better word, self-expression. what happens is we attract people. Like, it's so about mirroring. Like, if I'm going to hang out with a bunch of 5-year-olds, which, by the way, scientists, statistics say is the most expressed year of most human beings' life, they're very animated. And, when you mirror people's energy, man, so that's like been your flow for a long time. And it's that balance, right, between male and female energy, or what I say, down and in and up and out. And down and in is like homeostasis. And I get that because so I've always dealt with a high end of anxiety. And, and I've learned through, I'm going to go to acupuncture every week, I'm tapped into Bikram yoga. So I'm hearing you have a course or a program that you can create. And I can give you like the back end of, I've created about 100 curriculums and programs. And what I found this really fascinating with this yoga, what is it? Redefining Yoga podcaster. And during COVID, she completely shifted online. And she said, to think I would have ever even allowed a 20-minute yoga class, like, it's just not in my area. But I knew that's what my following wanted, meaning there's a way to monetize what you have. And it's so needed. Like, Tracy, suicide has greatly increased. Antidepressants, anxiety, depression, like, people need that homeostasis. And then you're a great example for the entrepreneur. Like, that's probably your brand, maybe your avatar, because they're so passionate that they'll burn themselves out. They don't even realize, and burning themselves out, that's where autoimmune, like using more energy than they're actually allowed.
Yeah. So for the listeners that don't know you yet, why don't you tell them a little bit about yourself?
That is a loaded question. Wow, that is a loaded question. What do I want to tell them about myself? Well, really, my passion, like, at the end of the day, is helping people get off the stands and in the court and playing this game called life. Like, how do you create the greatest life ever? You got to know yourself. You got to understand your values. You got to detach from any kind of outcome that you think, and there it is, what other people think of you, and go down this path of truth. And I got to tell you, I remember, you're a good coach. When someone asks me a question and I've noticed that, whoa, I'm really having a moment right now. And this is that moment. Because here I'm 33 years old. We're expecting this baby that I'm really excited about. And my life looks great on the outside. And I don't know why I'm waking up at 4 a.m. with anxiety and feeling like this discord with life, and everything from the outside looked so great. And I just kept praying for guidance. And I will always remember this acquaintance that I had, that I loved hanging out with at our sales meetings. And she happened to show up at my door one day, and I hadn't seen her for 8 months, and she had made all these changes. And they said, how did you do this? I'm going back to like 1998, 97. And she said she hired a coach. I thought she meant a fitness coach. And she said, no, like a life coach. I go, what's a life coach? And so she said to me, she'll have a conversation with you. And I did. And I always think, what if I would never have had that conversation? So here I'm like winning trips and all these awards. I'm have this $19 million a year organization, and I'm discontent. And then after just a few sessions with this coach, I realized, Tracy, I created this life based on my perception and illusion around what I thought other people thought of my success. And it was almost, as if I was raised that way. I mean, our family, my parents were always about, you get out, you do it, you show up, you exemplify. And I didn't know who I was. And then after about a few months of working with this coach, I remember, one night coming home, my wife had never seen me cry. And I walked in the door and I was bawling. And she's like, oh, did your mom die? Did your grandma die? And I go, I can't believe I'm saying this. I said, I don't know how to have fun. What's the matter with me? Why don't I know how to have fun? And she's like, no, I tried. I didn't know what I really wanted out of life. And that was that journey of going down this pathway of asking. She would just ask me these questions that I just had never really thought of. And then all of a sudden, in 6 months, I'm completely shifting my game. Good time to say, who sets a goal to be happy? Attributes are such better goals than achievements. They're important, or experiences, even more important. But self-actualization is the best goal of all. Like that's how we raised our son. Be happy. What makes you happy? And to see him at 23, so successful in life. And how do I define success now? Yeah, he's got a great career. He's got a band. He's got a great relationship, but he loves himself and he loves people.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
That's beautiful. And you've just totally exploded this conversation. So now I have to kind of hit on all these points. But let's start at the basics. So you are in Oregon.
Yes.
And what do you do? What drives you? What is your career path? Start about that a little bit. Yeah. And then I want to talk about how you got there. Okay.
Absolutely. Right on. Well, I was, what a great question. It seems like I have created 3 different, I'll say, trimesters of my life. I started out at 18, jumping into this direct sales network marketing realm. And I just had a friend that was doing it. I was pretty shy and introverted, had a lot of friends, but for me to be that self-expressed, and I just wanted to be comfortable around people. And it just took off. I just didn't even finish college. I started winning these travel trips. I enjoyed having the freedom. And I went on to build a $19 million business and developing people. And it turned into much about life and creating their ideal, especially moms. My mom was a single mom at one point, and I watched her struggle. And I had this passion to create this house, I'll say, environment for women, single moms, to thrive and make extra money. It was like a passion that I had. And then I hired this coach. That was kind of the segue earlier. And then I decided to write a book. And then I decided to write a second book. And then I decided to create an audio program. And then I decided to get certified as a coach, and I actually started going through coaching classes. I didn't want to be a certified coach, but I wanted her communication. I loved how the questions she would ask. And I had all these, very seasoned leaders, but I didn't all connect with them. And what I realized is I was a teller. I told people what to do instead of, asking them questions. And then it just grew into this certification. And for 20 years, I've been an entrepreneur coach, helping entrepreneurs build. They will hire us, all of our coaches, to build these thriving companies. And they do. They make big money. But what they don't realize when they begin, which isn't really part of what we focus on in the enrollment, their lives get better, their marriages get better, their recreation gets better, the health gets better. And health has always been a primary part of my life. And when my son's mom, who is my ex-wife and my partner in both my brands, my best friend, contracted 3rd-stage breast cancer and healed herself, all alternatively. No chemo, no radiation, no surgery. We started this wellness brand. After 2 years later, I ended up contracting autoimmune from taking all these toxic supplements and these keto plans I couldn't sustain. When I just went out for my friends were like, you got to do a show. You got to do a show. You're 44, you're getting older, just do a show. And we'll talk about that. But so I think what I want everybody to hear, because I'm really about you, the listeners, and that is, Miracles show up every day, every moment when you look for them. Sometimes it's a YouTube video in your thread that doesn't make sense that it would be there, or it's an email or some inspiration that you hear, or a thought that you have. Or how many times in the last 4 weeks I've been swamped, I've just said to my creator, what was I thinking? Help me remember what I was thinking. And then it was like, there it is. And I'm like, thank you. Thank you. To have that expectation that there is good fortune and favor waiting for you. And we see adversity as being like a challenge. It's contrast. We live in a world of polarity, of opposites. And so in this world of polarity, we have these unwanted and wanted conditions. Unwanted conditions lead you closer to what you want. We don't live in idealism. There's no such thing. And so to see this ironically happen to Lynn and I both, and then to see the gift that we got through it to realize that's what we're here to do and our next chapter. And it was tough to leave my almost done entrepreneur brand, which had been my life, 2,000 seminars, keynote messages. But when you know in your heart, you're going to have this direction and everything's all going to work out, you realize that, we're not really here alone. Whatever you want to call it, Jesus, God, Buddha, higher self, universe, you get to call it whatever you want. It's there to assist you, and it's always one step ahead.
Yeah, I think people are so stuck in being in this third density that they only see what is exactly right in front of them, that they aren't even aware of the shifting consciousness. And this is something I didn't know about 2 years ago either, but all of a sudden my eyes were opened. The veil is thinning, and so we're able to see more and hear more. And so I love that you just said that. And I want to hear about how you guys, well, first, I'm really curious because you said something a minute ago about you are thinking you got autoimmune disease because of toxic supplements. Can you kind of talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, let's, I think I'll start from the beginning. I do want to circle back and say, it is worth rewinding this recording a minute and a half, 2 minutes, because what Tracy just gave you was a gold mine. You can't, I'll say it differently. You are insured evolution naturally when you look in the unseen world. It's not in this 3D or this dimensional world. One-dimensional world is basically what she was saying. It's this multi-dimensional world. And that's where what we were actually talking about prior to this interview was my meditation. Like, nobody gets my morning ritual ever. And I've trained my brain how to think. And we can go into that now since we're there. But I feel like I want to say this for the end. But I will tell you, when you have a hub for transformation, that's where the logic is. And in that logical environment, that's where the spontaneity is, where you're just tapping in. And what I mean by that is that when you think of transformation, right, Tracy, transformation happens in environments. If your marriage is going south and you want to save it, and you're realizing you are toxifying it, and your spouse or partnership, your partner's toxifying it, you don't wish it to get better. That's just crazy. You have to take action. What does that mean? What do you desire? Vision is born from desire. Intention is born from vision. Intention is yours to own. It's the blueprint. It's the decision. It's the roadmap. It's the pathway. And so you go to an marriage encounter weekend, or you would go hire a counselor, or you would go to your church and you would plug into some couples forum, or you would get on some online program, and then you would do the work to go through it. Well, my question during this time of chaos and uncertainty and like increases in illness and suicide and depression and anxiety, and people just even their security has been challenged, which is like the most important essence of human beings and even animals, right? It's flight and fight mode. Why don't we create an environment for our life? And that's that hub in the morning. And so what does that mean? What would you do? You'd start off with some meditation. Sometimes it's just going to YouTube and listen to a guided meditation. What else could you do? Take a charger bath. What does that mean? You can, or stretch, or like some activity where you're actually just tuning into that information. And then we have a whole program on how to write affirmations that train your brain how to think. And what would be those 4 categories? We all have these in common: relational, physical, spiritual, financial / career. And so I'm walking around when stuff's not going my way saying, good things are always happening to me. When my team makes a mistake, people matter more than things. When I go south on my ideal mindset or like wellness plan, I stay in the journey, I commit to the process, knowing I'll eventually arrive at my destination. And when I go south, I recommit, or I bless and release and recommit. So you start to train your brain how to think, which you want to attract. Do you want to comment on that before we move forward?
I want to listen to this recording also. Oh my gosh, you're amazing, Steve. I love listening to you. Keep preaching, brother.
I adore you.
No, I want to talk about the hub. I love that. I love that idea of having AM and PM rituals to bookend your day. And my AM ritual is pretty good. My PM ritual needs some work. But
Rob, you have the AM and the PM. Did you hear that? Huge. Yeah, because it's an environment that supports you in getting in alignment. And this is where my mind always goes, okay, is this person going to remember it? And I sometimes have to get grounded and say, all right, jump into Facebook, search Body Temple Community. When you jump in, or approved, easy, go to the more button, click on file, and you will see a ton of resources. We are at our best and started out all in the beginning, philanthropic movement. There are many coaches, great recipes, all sorts of things. And just look for Steve's Miracle Morning Ritual. It's all lined out for you. And then you're going to create and customize your own. Even a Body Temple coach, you could just jump in and say, I want some support with my wellness plan or my morning meditation. They'll reach out and that's what they'll do. And going back to what I said earlier, what if I never would have talked to that coach? I remember thinking, should I call her? And I kept looking at her number. And one day I was just so miserable. I picked up the phone and called her, and she ended up being this guardian angel for 3 years that completely helped me understand who I was. Like, I can't even tell you the depth of emotion I have right now. I've been thinking about, like, what would I ever, if I would have never talked with her, where would my life have been?
Wow, that's lovely. Okay, so can I circle back? I really want to hear more about the health. I want to hear about what your wife did with the breast cancer. I want to hear about your cause and healing from the autoimmune, because so many people have autoimmune disease. And I believe, I know what I believe, but I want to hear how you were able to heal, because I don't believe that the doctors pushing pills for symptoms are helping people.
Like, I'm present right now, even symbolically what we're talking about, like attracts like. I mean, she's going to be one of my tribe members, meaning alignment, like attracts like I could feel it right when I listened to her first, read her description and listened to her introduction. I was like, whoa. And this is what happens. You're not here to attract people that you're not supposed to be in alignment with, learn from, or create with. And that's the beautiful thing. Yeah, it sounds like we're in alignment with that. Before I attracted autoimmune, I just kind of thought everything that I was doing was ideal. And, my story was, really, I was raised with two brothers that were really athletic. My dad could have been like semi-pro, and I was kind of the odd one. I was the middle one, and he just joke about it. Why are you so skinny? Are you really my kid? I mean, I just laugh it off. But inside, I felt like less than, and I just never went down the athletic pathway because I didn't think I could keep up like I would. So I just always would have an excuse. So here I'm 27 years old, really successful entrepreneur. I'm at this convention and there's 4,000 people in the audience. And at the very end, Patricia Fripp, love that woman, about 5'2", just says, I have a question for you. And then she just stared at the audience for 2 minutes. And she said, write down the first thought you have. What are you sick and tired of being sick and tired of? And I wrote, I hate my body. And I'm 8 months out from my 10-year reunion. And I go back and decide I'm going to get in shape. Well, my same wonderful wife, who's like my ex now, right? Beautiful kid, awesome friendship. She was choreographing and working with this top 10 Miss Olympia. And so she led me to this gym, which probably wasn't the ideal gym for me. I walk in and then I really feel skinny and so I just kind of plugged in and I hired a trainer there and worked with both him and Nikki, which was this woman. And started just to go down these pathways of, what I thought was nutritional, And so I had really no signs leading up to my illness. I remember being out with my son one night. We're in a vegan restaurant. I ate a perfectly great dinner. And then all of a sudden I am bloated. I look 4 months pregnant. I'm like, I think I need to go into ER. And I didn't know what was happening. I ended up not going into ER, connected with my doctor, got some blood work back, and then everything came back perfect. I looked fantastic or on record. And I'm like, damn, there's something wrong here. And so my wife had been going through this, we're divorced at this point, but we're together, we're close. And she was contracted with 3rd stage cancer. She had been in this pathway for 2 years to heal herself from 3rd stage cancer. No chemo, no radiation, no surgery. She completely followed the practices and principles of the Hypocrites Institute in Southern Florida. But I had a judgment. Is she going to die? Why isn't she just getting a mastectomy? Is she going to leave our 12-year-old son? I never told her that. And then 2 years later, I contract this autoimmune disease. So I just started to follow what she was doing. And everything that she did really was 100% chemical free. She taught me how to sprout, produce, look for supplements with no chemicals. I didn't really know what was going on with me. She led me to these naturopaths that were disguised as, they were really healers. And I had this serious case of candida, and it was awful. They call it celiacs, which is, nothing, but God, I couldn't get rid of it. Every 3-4 days, I chose to go to colonics. I had brain fog. I always had energy before that, traveling around all over the US doing my thing. And what I think you and I have an alignment with is you can heal from any autoimmune. Your body is, I've even seen, what's the deal when they tell a friggin' client of mine they have MS and then for 6 years they've been in remission, really? Remission? That's what they call it, that they have no signs of it anymore. Like, how is that? What are they doing? And your job is to get blood work done, labs at least twice a year, and not always through a doctor, functional medicine, to tap in with naturopaths that can do these extensive blood panels because they lead you to things. Now, like Lynn, she has the cancer gene. Her sister died at 21 when Lynn was 12. Her mom had 8 siblings. They all died of cancer. Ironically, she's still alive at 89, but her path has been always super, super healthy. And so we even get the gene when the gene happens, we can start a mindset. That little girl, when Lynn being 12 years old and her sister died at 21, her mind was like, it was just like common. We all get cancer, we die. We get sick, we die. So it's a big conversation. The one thing that I will tell you, and wrapping this question up, one answer, 14% of you are walking around with parasites. And these parasites can activate cancer cells like no other. It's not even talked about. People don't even realize it. I ended up getting parasites even 4 years ago. I was doing everything right, but they're in our water. There's all sorts of sugar really can turn to parasites. I'm just reading this report around pork, and one of our coaches posted in the Body Temple community, and her girlfriend's like takes a picture. She goes, "What is this?" It was pork, and there were two circles that really, when she took it in, they were cancerous. That is like a lot of us just, it really has to do with education.
I saw a video where somebody had a slab of pork meat. I don't know if they're pork chops or whatever, and they were pouring Coke on it. And all of a sudden, all these parasites were coming out of the meat.
No way.
I was so disgusted. I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay, I have a funny story for you about that. Kind of a side note. So HCQ, I make it at home with the grapefruit skin and the lemon skin, you know. My most popular video on YouTube. And anyway, crazy funny story. This morning I come home from the gym and I grab my mason jar out of the fridge and I just am going to take a slug of it. And I had also made limoncello. And for some reason I grabbed the limoncello instead. So anyway, okay, so I need to drill down some more here. Okay, so I first want to go for cause, and then I want to go for treatment. So you said earlier that you believe that the cause was from toxicity in supplements and some
radical meal plans.
Radical meal plans. Okay, like tell me more about those.
Well, first of all, the same woman that rocks life, that is all about produce. You always say she's a good cook or he's a good cook. No, it's really not about cooking. Very little of it's about cooking. Never ever made dinner, never really ever made meals. So I think I'm doing great going to get my white rice and teriyaki chicken and sometimes teriyaki beef. And then I get my little ice salad, ice salad really. And so ironically, I didn't ever eat produce. I was always natural thin. I started off telling that conversation, didn't have to really do a lot of cardio. And now my body just craves. 90% of what I put in my body is all produce. I'm a sprouter. I grow, and they're so easy. I grow wheatgrass and sunflower sprouts and pea sprouts, and they're just phenomenal. I mean, I can get by probably just drinking green smoothies all day. My green smoothies are maxed out and with like incredible seeds that even if you have diverticulitis, you're going to blend those seeds in a grinder. And if you jump into the Body Temple community, just search Body Temple community, you'll see my green smoothie. It's just so full of nutrients. You could just live on that. So my story is, I had friends that had been asking me, just saying to me, you got to do a show. You're 44, you got to do a show.
You mean a bodybuilding competition?
Bodybuilding show. Again, dude, like you got to do a bodybuilding show. You're getting older, right? I was so busy, like doing seminars and just always tapped out with time. But then this is what I want you to hear. Then I finally thought reasonably, and I thought, I want to be in the best possible shape, spiritually, physically, emotionally, and all my life. And so I created what I call non-negotiables around my time. And when I started to move into this, I was surprised. I was so happy. And I'm a mindset coach. I work with people on core values. And I'm like, why am I so happy? And then I really had to think about it. And it was because it was the only time in my life that I realized Nobody's choices affected me. My team affected me. My kid affected me. My mom affected me. My wife affected me. It was like, whoa, nobody told me whether I got on the cardio machine, ate the right thing. And granted, didn't know what I didn't know. It's a whole different lifestyle for me now. But meaning, health is the one area of our life that we have complete charge of. Our attitude, our disposition, it's mind, body, spirit. And this is what I think is so interesting about this game now is like, so many people really don't give a shit about their health, even when they say they want help. And it's like, well-being will change everything. It's like it becomes this non-negotiable. So I just made it my goal to be in the best possible shape of my life, mentally, spiritual, and physically. And I get it, there's like all this content everywhere that people get overwhelmed. And I think, when people ask me, I'll often ask, well, what are the choices that I can make? What can I do to change my life, my health? And if you and I were in an airport and you were, getting ready to board, and we've had this conversation back and forth about what you do, and you say, just give me some advice. It's so simple. I like simple because I already have a complex life. I go, A, sweat every day. You sweat externally, internally, and both. I am always sweating every single day. I have an infrared sauna. You don't even need one. You can go to the gym. That's external. Sweat internally means cardio. Bikram yoga would be both, like hot yoga. Sweat every day. There's so many toxins in the world. They're in our water. They're in our air. They're in processed food. They're all around us. They're actually in your environment. They're paint. They're glue. They're like, you need to sweat every day. And it's the greatest anti-aging. Like I used to even get filler. I used to have, bags under my eyes. Like it just rejuvenates your skin. Second, go green. What does that mean? It's pretty darn simple when you think about it. You just start eating produce. You start reading about greens. It's everything from, you can even make just incredible food from greens. In fact, we've got this Kickstart Detox Manual. It's phenomenal. It's all part of this program that we're going to offer you, this free program. You see it in the show notes. Kickstart, or bodytemplekickstart.com. But at the very end, there are all these vegan recipes, and it can actually be really super good. Third, eliminate or diminish sugar. There are 68 bar-coded ingredients disguised as sugar, and 7 that are disguised as sweeteners. Those sweeteners are worse than drinking a straight shot of 151. That is how bad they are. Now, we've got an ebook called Chemicals and Toxins to Avoid. Like, we literally lead you to links where you can get like great sweeteners that are just super healthy for you. So leading up to my show, I just hired these naturopaths and a trainer, and they had me on these supplements for $822 a month. And I thought always supplements were good for you. Bad me. Like, I really thought all supplements were good, and they had stimulants in them. I don't know that I noticed it. I didn't ask any questions. As an entrepreneur, I've always been hiring experts. I just do. And so I just kind of like trusted them. And of course, I'm in that world. I'm not realizing, like, the naturopath was, a recommendation from my trainer, kind of a goofball that came highly recommended. And here I just ended up winning, first place in multiple categories. I didn't expect that at all, but I stayed on this regimen. And then all of a sudden I got sick. Well, who the hell would have thought 92% of the supplements on the market have chemicals in them? Who would have thought 87% are owned by pharmaceutical drug companies are disguised as, supplement companies? Who would have thought that these aggressive keto meal plans that are just toxic to your gallbladder and liver, like, I would have never known. And I felt so damn naive. That's just the bottom line. I just felt so naive. I just can't. That's why I found a formulator that I mean, I couldn't find a chemical-free product, Tracy. I looked, and then I found this formulator, Scott Treadway. And at the time he said, I have 100% chemical free, but they don't buy them. He said, the products that I can lead you to have very similar. He goes, I can send you bags of product, like bags of ingredients right now, but that's all I can do. And I'm like, I'm going to create a chemical free product one day. I knew I was going to create that for myself. And then that's when Body Temple was born a few years later. And I've even been on some of these supplement. I didn't even know, but these 3 interviews I was in, they're called supplement hackers, and they reveal all of these supplements on the market that are worse to take than not to take. Is that crazy? Have you heard of such a thing?
Well, I've seen where you can take, well, like, I don't know what supplements you're speaking of, but I've seen where people have taken vitamins and taken a slice of an apple and put it in a glass of water and taken different supplements and see what happens to the apple.
I
And
have
some
not
of them make
seen
it
that.
turn black. Oh yeah, I've done it. Or like a one a day or one of those crappy,
You rebel. I
commercial.
love that.
It turns it black and rotten. It's horrible. So the vitamins I take are actually from a network marketing that my stepmom is in. And I like them because they're capsules.
Is it
So
isogenics?
no, it is called RX. She was in USANA and she was like one of the top dogs in USANA. And then the president
Look at
left.
that
And
world. Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, I figured you would. And so I've taken those because I can swallow them and they don't bug me.
Mm-hmm.
But I hope they're not toxic. I would have a hard time imagining that Fred Cooper would put out something toxic.
Well, this is a good conversation because I had to go narrow. And I always say this when people are, you are either listeners, you're either knowing you're pretty healthy or that there's something wrong and your blood work isn't identifying that. That means you're in the gray stage, or you have contracted something and it's time to go narrow. And that's when you really need to take a look. I was so narrow that there was like nothing. I did not want to get sicker. It cost me $20,000, all sorts of time. I mean, just the Clonics alone every week was like $7,800 of it. Like I needed to get all that candida out of my system. It was so hard to get rid of. But these 3, well, I have a whole lab that takes a look at like ingredients. They'll, like, my team will just actually people take a picture and then we'll come back and tell them what that is. And some of these supplements or ingredients are kind of necessary for the compound and the quick way. When you make a product like ours, it takes 7 times as long. It's really complicated. It's very expensive, even though the product's not like 500% increase, not even double. And it's because it's tough to do. And everybody that, like these 3 hackers, they went and checked out my supplements, man, they came back and they're like, you're in the 1%, it's 100% chemical free. There's not a day that I wake up and I don't eliminate my waste. Sometimes the joke is I can't even believe I plug up the toilet with what I eat. Like, it's just gets rid of your waste. I'm not even vaccinated. Now that is a long story. I can't even believe I said that. And I don't believe that's even the answer for everyone, especially like my 83-year-old mother. But I haven't gotten COVID at all, or Delta.
Me either. And 3 of my friends from the gym that did get the shot all got it in December. And I didn't, and I was with them. And
I know, right?
I don't believe that. No, I believe, and I've been saying this for 2 years, is everybody needs to boost their immunity so that they can beat all disease, especially cancer. My dad died in February of 2020 of cancer. And that to me is what they need to be thinking about to avoid all disease. But nobody is talking about that. Nobody, except for the outlying doctors that are being persecuted by the media. But don't get me started on that, because I want to talk to you more about this autoimmune. So did you say a minute ago that the autoimmune disease diagnosis was celiac disease, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's what it came back, but it was such a severe case of candida. And I just could not get rid of it. I will never, ever go there again. It's kind of like a pond that you just can't get the pH balance. And it was definitely supplements. And yeah.
How long did it take you to
18
recover?
months.
Wow.
18 months. And I was at about 100%. I started off 12 weeks. I was 220, about 7% body fat. And I went 12 weeks only on grapefruit and homemade minestrone soup. That was it. And that was like, I lost 50 pounds. This is why I just think I call BS on people that say, well, I'm sticking to it, but they're not losing weight. And, we see that at Body Temple. They all lose weight. They all lose weight. And when they're telling the truth, man, we're confronting them. Come on, you 100% sure? They all lose weight. And not that everyone needs to lose weight, but it's definitely a commonality. There's a commonality because there's two pathways, right? The pathway is the choices you make, the first pathway. And then the second pathway are the supplements and the treatments, like acupuncture brings your body to homeostasis. Massage helps release toxins so that you can even sweat them out. And that was my journey, man. I wanted that chemical-free product and that 100%. And God, I mean, I went from being bloated all the time to couldn't eliminate my waist to, having complete digestive issues to like, it's like clockwork. There's not a time within the first 30 minutes of my day that I'm not eliminating my waist. My waist. And constantly, never dealing with bloating, elevated immune. I'm only about, like, I don't hardly even take any supplements. I take a few other supplements other than our probiotic, which is like 5 billion spores, and then our purified detox, which is completely about maintenance. It's not aggressive. Like, there's some aggressive. I'm laughing because I remember one time being at the airport and just almost, shitting my pants. I'm in a suit. I'm like looking at this gal saying, it's right when I was like in the middle of being sick. I'm like, I gotta go. I gotta go to the bathroom. And it was such an aggressive product. And I'm ready to jump on an airplane to go to a keynote. And the digestive enzymes are huge. They're super, super important.
Yeah, I agree. I take enzymes, but I want to hear two things. I want to hear what you currently are eating to maintain your health. Okay. And what products you are taking or recommend people take to get started, because clearly gut health is the biggest. All the science is really focusing on gut health right now.
90% of all disease starts below the waist.
Oh yeah. And people aren't even aware of it, or they're confused by it because there's so much information out there. And I like to start with simple things. Like, what simple things would you say could people start taking action on right away to improve their gut health? And what supplements? Because a lot of people don't take enzymes and they don't even know what they are.
Yeah, I got it. First of all, I am not like I was telling Tracy about structure for me. And my structure is all about the end user. So I'm realizing I'm in this awesome conversation and I'm in the energy of it, but I always have an end result for everybody. And that is why we spent $8,000 on this complimentary Kickstart Detox Plan. It took us months to create this complimentary program before we got interviewed on these podcasts. And you'll see it in the show notes. And it's bodytemplekickstart.com. Now, that 43-minute video is going to take you down a journey. And what does that mean? First, you're ready to make a decision. You want change. just like 12-step. I'm sick and tired of feeling this way. Step one is make a decision you're ready for change. And we taught you about that. And second, we help you design an ideal wellness plan. It's a long conversation, but it's all in that video and in this Kickstart Detox manual that we put together. It has to do with water source. It has to do with meal plan. It has to do with beverage plan. It has to do with like fitness or movement. Like, and you are going to experience Lynn. If you think I'm halfway decent, even good, she's magic. She is not even the same person she was. My son and I talk about it. Like, she's so evolved and so enlightened, and you will experience this with her. Part two, my part is mindset. And part three is all about how to shift your poor habits to ideal habits and notice your triggers. Because often when you make a decision, you're ready for change, you've agreed with your history or the choices that you've made or been somewhat accepting of them. And when you start to make a decision, I'm ready for change, that's when it gets in your face. That's when you can feel absolutely powerless. But leading up to it, you have to have a plan. And that's what we help you do. We help you create a plan. And then we show you how to deal with the serotonin and the dopamine in your body. You know, when you feel like you want to go through a drive-through or you feel like you want to have a cocktail, what's going on is that there's memory that's housed in your body. What is habit? It's when the body becomes the mind. And so you have to be gentle with yourself. And the reason people go south is they feel powerless. They feel, and we're really always operating in one of two states. We're either operating from the state of power or we're operating from the state of powerless. And power is defined by you. So you're going to go through a little bit of a wave, and we show you. And that's why we've had success. We took the same principles in our entrepreneur brand that showed these people how to manifest. And what is manifestation? It's where desire and belief match. But we know what we desire, but we don't deep down believe it. We have to see the strategy, and the story gets in the way of you getting in that state of mind where you're going to be unstoppable. And it will happen if you stick with it. And this is what we're about. So when you opt in, you're going to get this 43-minute video. And here's where the rubber meets the road. And this is where I just get totally direct with people. And I say, are you going to sit your ass down and watch it? Or are you going to write it in your date book? Or are you going to allow something to get in the way? Here you got this 43-minute program that will map out how to detox, all different forms, how to get into that mindset, how to create your ideal wellness plan. And then there's even a Kickstart Detox manual. That's all. It took 8 months to write. You know what took us so long is to think about the people that would be watching it, those people that just want to dip into it. Do we have a plan for them? And then the people that know, I want to go the extra mile, I'm tired of this. And then the one that's sick, that knows they need to go narrow. We really thought that out. And so that would be the first place to start, because that's everything that I won't have time to talk to you about in this. And it does come with, you'll see the products even below that.
The supplements.
Yeah, so you opt into this thing. So I'm a Russell Brunson fan, and I've been in his programs, and man, he taught me a lot. Like, you see this video and then you see these 5 steps. And the first step that you love is it will say, take the 3-minute, take charge of your health evaluation. Why is it 3 minutes? We've thought of everything you would want or not want, and you're clicking the boxes. That's why we know no one will take more than 3 minutes. And then they get to the end and we reach out to them just to see if they have any questions. We can lead them to resources. We're like, how'd you feel about that 3-minute evaluation? I was like, whoa, wake up call. Good news is you see what you want. And the good news is you see what you don't want, right? And then we lead you down this 5-step journey of helping you create your ideal wellness plan. And then the products are below. You can read the ingredients. I don't want you to go to my site because they're 25% off if you do take advantage of them. And then 30-day money back guarantee. But you can just see all the ingredients in there, and you can Google that and just see how chemical free 100% it really is.
That's good. Yeah. Chemicals, people don't realize how many chemicals are in products
that aren't even approved, and how they're using glyphosate on so much food that gets into our soil, that gets into our air, that gets into our rain, that it's just this ecosystem of poison, but I do believe that this new world that we're going to be stepping into is cleaning everything up as we speak. I think that from what I would heard is that we are working on creating healthier soil, healthier water right now, and people just aren't aware of it yet.
Yeah, we're on that same, like, people don't even understand like Roundup. I mean, Roundup it's a long story, but Roundup ended up in our rainforest. The greatest place to actually grow vegetation is the desert because it wasn't affected. I wanted to know from this formulator, where's the soil these ingredients are growing from, where coming from. I wanted to know every damn part of that process. And when I found out, and then I remember just getting these bags of products, but pretty much the formulation that I created. Like I said 100% chemical free. And I couldn't believe how great I started to feel. I sometimes am in a sauna, you can tell I'm older. I certainly don't look like I'm 35 or 40, but I'm 57, but my body doesn't look like it. And it's always the youth that are like, dude, like, you're ripped. Like, what do you do? What in the world are you doing? Well, truth be known, it started off externally for me, but as I got older, it was really about how I feel. I don't want to be on the planet without vitality, Tracy. I don't want to be here for like another 40 years of being in a wheelchair and not feel good. And it's not even about being in a wheelchair as much as that seems to be like the awful example that I use, which could be from an accident. But I love to feel good. I love to help people. I love to have clarity. I love when I'm in the zone. And I think all of us, to some degree, I'm going to say it like this. We are trained and manipulated by what we hear, and we have bought into it. And it's all media. It's all propaganda. It's all pharmaceutical drug movement. It's all, you deserve to eat that XYZ and have as many cocktails as you want on Friday night. We got to fast forward to, what do we really want to be in the future and experience?
Yeah. And just take it one step at a time. You don't have to overwhelm yourself so that you throw in the towel and quit cold turkey, just make choices. Like I always tell my clients to visualize yourself a year from now, fast forward into the future, and write your vision statement as if it's already happened. So through law of attraction and through your subconscious, you read it right before you go to sleep, or bookend your day, begin your day with that power instead of something that's going to stress you out. Like you said, your morning is super important. Fill that morning with all things good. So
you and I have a lot of commonalities. Everybody, you're in the right place. You want to share, spread the good news about this wonderful podcast. I love your brand, by the way. It's so cool.
Thank you.
It's super attractive. Yeah, because you know what? Think about high energy girl. What does that mean? That you can be feeling great at 60 years old. One of my very, very favorite, I set this up. I'm just going to say Betty White was one of my very, very favorites, and passed away at 99. And one thing she had going for her, she had joy. And I remember hiring this coach in my 50s, I'm 57, or more like 52, right? And he's like, Steve, you've got like a limiting belief or about getting older. And I thought, I kind of do. And he's like, I said, I love youth. I love being young. I love vitality. And he said, who are your mentors? And I didn't really have them. He said, well, sometimes there are people that appear to be your mentors. And I'd always kind of loved Betty White's energy, and I just I travel all the time and I see these people that were like my age that look like they were just crippled walking in an airport, could barely, I'm like, can I help you with your bag? Put it up on top, I'm like, God, I don't want that. So that's why I go through this regimen. And the most powerful thing you said in this interview, Tracy, is baby steps, one step at a time. You find your tribe, you find your person or that coach, and you just start creating a map, and it starts to evolve over a period of time. And so that's the question that I would ask myself, is like, what ideally do I want? If you could, she said it, 6 months, what would ideal health look like? What would it feel like? What would be different? What would I be experiencing in a year, 2 years? And we'll help you jump into the Body Temple community. These coaches are reaching out, answering questions, supporting people. And yeah, it's sharing the love.
Awesome. I'm going to join your community.
Hey, actually come in. Let's plan a time. You can come in there and do live. It's pretty new and it's starting to blow up. It's getting exciting. But I'd love you to jump in there and do a live one of these times.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
I love doing Facebook Lives. I don't like Facebook anymore, but I love doing Facebook Lives.
We're so
I like doing angel card
you
reading.
And I.
That's fun for me. I do that every Tuesday.
I know.
So in closing, Steve, we already know where they can find you, which I'm going to go over there to the Body Temple Kickstart. But what parting words would you want to encourage the listeners with? I mean, you have said so much already, but I just want you to grab like your favorite nugget or two that you want to close with.
Sure. Absolutely. Well, our site is bodytempleloc.com. There's a lot of goodies there, but do not buy product there. bodytempleloc.com, only because we've got that special in the Kickstart program. That is the complimentary program is right there for you. And you'll see like the 3-minute evaluation, some great tools on our site. I want to challenge you all to find a friend that truly wants to take charge of their health, body, and mindset. And that's what those three are: health, body, and mindset. And to go through that Kickstart Detox program video. And even if you did it on Zoom, share your screen, like find somebody and coach it out with them, mastermind with them. It's so much easier. I've seen that happen a million times working with clients that have just partnered with somebody else. And I want to invite you to start to think about and write about this inquiry. This is where the rubber meets the road. I've said it in my entrepreneur brand, and I've said it too in my Body Temple brand. I said this. Let's get honest. What's the truth? What do you think you really need to change about yourself and what you're doing to get this, whatever that result is? It's where the rubber meets the road. I ask that question to God always. When something isn't quite in alignment, I'm like, God, what is it that I need to change about myself and what I'm doing to help them get to this level? And it's called discernment and wisdom. I pray for discernment and wisdom. Now, some of you, that's maybe not your gig. Well, the universe is kind. And what I will tell you is that you will be given a message. And that has served me so well in my life, because we're here a short period of time. And I just call it your soul is one step ahead of you. Inner creator, whatever you call it, your soul is one step ahead of you because it knows your journey, because that's where you're going to end up at the end of the day. Thanks for hanging out with us, everybody.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much, Steve. You are super cool.
You are
so
super
happy
cool.
to have you on the show today.
Okay, that was a fabulous interview. I hope you enjoyed our conversation and I hope you learned a thing or two. Please head on over to grab the 15-day Kickstart Detox Plan at bodytemplekickstart.com. All right, you guys, thanks so much for listening. Make it a great day. Bye for now. This podcast contains the opinion and thoughts of its host and guests. It is intended to provide helpful and informative material on the subjects covered. All statements made on the podcast have not been evaluated by the FDA and are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent disease. If the listener requires professional assistance or advice, please contact your personal medical doctor. Both host and guest specifically disclaim any responsibility for any liability, loss, or risk, personal or otherwise, which is incurred as a consequence directly or indirectly of the use and application of any of the contents of these episodes. Like I said, this is my opinion and I could be wrong.